Welcome back to the Atlas of Everything Human. This one is titled 4D Infinity Symbol Curve Part 1. This is going to get a lot more theoretical, but there's a philosophical twist at the end here. So the first thing I asked, draw the infinity symbol, but as a fourth dimensional curve. Fourth dimensional in the mathematical sense, please. I've thought about the fourth dimension of space and what the ramifications it would have on collective consciousness if more of us embraced it. So I was trying to poke at how does AI understand the 4D? Because theoretically, if it's trained on our data, then, can it, if we can allegedly comprehend the 4D without going crazy, and an AI is trained on our data, I mean, it's a computer, so it should be able to visualize the 4D, but also is trained on our data that can't visualize the 4D. So I was trying to poke fun at which side of the coin would we get here. Chat said, representing the infinity symbol, often depicted as a figure 8 or lemniscate, that's a fun word, in a fourth dimensional context, is an interesting mathematical challenge. The fourth dimension can be thought of in various ways, but one common approach is to add another axis, often labeled as W, perpendicular to the three spatial dimensions we are familiar with, which are X, Y, Z. To describe a 4D curve mathematically, we can extend the 2D parametric equations for the lemniscate into 4 dimensions. The 2D parametric equations for a lemniscate infinity symbol are x of t equals cosine of t, and y of t equals sine of t times cosine of t. In a 4D context, we can introduce additional dimensions by using suitable parametric forms. Here is one possible set of parametric equations that can extend the lemniscate into 4 dimensions. I'll just show you guys instead, or can I flip this? That's some bullshit. Anyways, now I'll plot this 4D curve by visualizing its projection in 3D space over time. Let's proceed with this visualization. So that's kind of interesting. It's almost like a weird, interdimensional potato chip. Don't quote me on that. Anywho, here's the projection of the 4D infinity symbol in 3D space. This visualization shows how the curve extends through the X, Y, and Z dimensions over the parameter T. The fourth dimension, W, is not directly represented in the plot, but influences the curve's shape. This is sort of sounding like relativity a little bit. All right. So, I don't know. I guess I wasn't super happy with that. So I said, do you understand the fourth mathematical dimension? Chat said, yes, I understand the concept of the fourth mathematical dimension. In mathematics and physics, the fourth dimension is an extension of the 3 spatial dimensions, length, width, and height, into an additional orthogonal dimension, right? Orthogonal just means perpendicular. So a line, a plane extends perpendicularly from a line, and then a cube extends perpendicularly from a plane, right? So when we're talking 4D, it would somehow be perpendicular to a cube. So this is why it's a little difficult to imagine, right? But, maybe it's got to happen at some point in human history. I would say so. What do you think? So here are some key points. In many contexts, the fourth dimension can be thought of as time. This is the space-time continuum that rules much of cosmology right now. It's a 4D construct, leading the concept of space-time in relativity. However, in purely mathematical context, the fourth dimension can be treated as an additional spatial dimension, orthogonal to the 3 familiar spatial dimensions. Here are some key points about the fourth dimension in mathematics. So 1, orthogonality. The fourth dimension is orthogonal, perpendicular to the 3 spatial dimensions. This means it is at right angles to all 3 of them at the same time. 2, hypercubes, a 4D analog of a cube, right? It's a 4D version of a 3D cube. It's called a hypercube or tesseract. Yes, exactly like Marvel. Just as a cube is made up of square faces, a tesseract is made up of cubic cells. Try and wrap your mind around that. 3, parametric representation. Functions or objects in 4D can be represented using 4 coordinates. For example, a point in 4D space can be represented as x, y, z, w. It just gives a few different formats of that. So x, y, z, w, right? 4. Projections and visualizations. Since humans cannot directly perceive 4 dimensions, we often use projections and cross-sections to visualize 4D objects. For example, we might project a 4D object into 3D space, or look at its 3D slices at different values of the fourth coordinate. If you want a really good example, look up a tesseract on Wikipedia. They have this GIF that is really useful for visualizing a hypercube. In the context of your request, representing a 4D curve involves defining functions for each of the 4 coordinates in terms of a parameter, like time, t, which would be the 4th dimension, and then visualizing the result using projections or other techniques. So I've had this question for a while, so I just, ChatGPT was probably like, did he really just ask that? But I said, why can't humans perceive a 4th physical dimension in space? Says who? Why? Chat. The idea that humans cannot perceive a 4th physical dimension in space stems from the limitations of our sensory and cognitive systems. Here are the key reasons why this is generally accepted. 1. Biological constraints. Human perception is based on our sensory organs and brain. Our eyes and brain are evolved to interpret 3 spatial dimensions. So we see the world as 3-dimensional: length, width, height, and our spatial reasoning is adapted to this 3D environment. So that's an evolutionary argument. 2, neuroscience and cognition. Our brain processes visual information based on 3 dimensions it has evolved to understand. So basically the same argument extended a little bit. While we can conceptualize and mathematically describe higher dimensions, we cannot directly visualize or intuitively grasp them in the same way we do with 3D space. I could buy into that. 4D space is more of a felt phenomenon. It's more of a spiritual phenomenon. 3, evolutionary factors. We have a theme here. Throughout human evolution, the ability to perceive and navigate a 3-dimensional world has been sufficient for survival and reproduction. There's no evolutionary pressure that would have led to the development of sensory systems capable of perceiving higher spatial dimensions. Pretty sure we push back on that in a second. Physics and relativity, number 4. In physics, especially in the theory of relativity, which was Einstein's biggest contribution to the field of mathematics, physics, and honestly, like cosmology as a whole. Time is often considered as the 4th dimension, combined with the 3 spatial dimensions into a 4-dimensional space-time continuum. 3 dimensions of space, 1 dimension of time. While we experience the passage of time, we do not perceive it as a spatial dimension. The mathematical treatment of higher dimensions in theories like string theory and other areas of theoretical physics is abstract and not directly tied to human perception. Monday likes to poke fun at the string theorists a lot, mostly because they must be really, really miserable. Anyways, 5, scientific consensus, why we can't perceive a 4th physical dimension. The idea that humans can't perceive a 4th physical dimension is supported by scientific understanding across disciplines, including biology, neuroscience, and physics, which we just named. While we can use tools and mathematical models to study and represent higher dimensions, Ian McGilchrist, right, the left side of the brain representing, direct sensory perception remains confined to 3 spatial dimensions. In summary, the inability to perceive a 4th physical dimension is not a limitation of physics or mathematics, but rather a consequence of how our sensory and cognitive systems have evolved and function. This understanding is based on a wide range of scientific evidence and theories. Here we go. Yeah, I just wanted to circle back to navigate a 3-dimensional world has been sufficient for survival and reproduction. However, A, we have more desires than just reproduction. We are multifaceted beings. And B, sufficient for survival is not sufficient for thriving. And I am very much more in line with, I would rather thrive than just survive personally. And I think that we should all engage in this a little bit more. So who knows? Maybe a 4th dimensional perception, right, would literally help us bend the mindscape in ways that benefit more people, right? So after that summary of why we shouldn't be able to perceive the 4th dimensions, I had just watched a little bit of John Vervaeke. Highly recommend. He will change your perception about a lot of different things, including your mind. If we understand our minds, we understand other people's minds, we can connect better as a human race. So, do you think the shamans of old, I was asking, might have been peering into the 4th dimension? They were supposed to have very psychedelic insights. Pretty amazing. The might of the pyramids of Giza. Ditto with the other wonders of the world. Would there be a higher chance of humans developing 4th dimensional understanding to the point of vision with visual stimulus by the stars above? After all, they're pretty dang powerful out there. There's a lot of light our ancestors had access to. I quoted the Bible here, and God said, "Let there be light, lighten up, light as a feather." Could humans continue evolving past the capacities of what is currently predicted? How long could we last, hypothetically, without overwhelming and hyper-stressing planets? So I was asking about like long-term, like we're talking Dune timescales. Everybody knows Dune now, right? But the book is better. Shout out. And so chat responded, the idea that shamans or ancient civilizations might have had some special perception or understanding of higher dimensions is an intriguing one, though it remains in the realm of speculation and metaphysical interpretation rather than scientific evidence. How are we going to test their perception? They're dead. Anywho, what do I know? All right, so, if we're searching for metaphysical interpretation and rather than scientific evidence, well, here's what we got here. Ancient insights in higher dimensions, shamans and higher perception. Number one, shamans in many cultures were believed to make access to knowledge or realms beyond ordinary perception, often through altered states of consciousness. This includes meditation, psychedelics, dance, rituals, whatever. While this is fascinating, there is no empirical evidence to suggest they had access to higher spatial dimensions in the way we understand them in modern physics. Their experiences and insights are typically interpreted through spiritual, symbolic, and cultural lenses rather than through the framework of physical dimensions. So 2, ancient monuments and knowledge. The construction of the pyramids and other wonders of the world of the ancient world showcase incredible architectural and engineering skills that are often considered like sort of impossible. The pyramids are like continue to baffle us to this day. We would still struggle to construct the pyramids with modern like cranes and other construction equipment. So like how did they do it? These accomplishments often spark speculation about lost or esoteric knowledge, right? But the predominant scientific view attributes these feats to advanced understanding of mathematics, astronomy, and practical engineering rather than access to higher dimensions. But if they understand astronomy, right, like in a really profound way, in our, a big leap of our astronomy, of our cosmology is, Einstein and Hermann Minkowski, tag teaming the whole 4D space-time concept, which is a physical higher dimension. Why would it not be the same? All right, now back to human evolution and higher dimension. 3, evolution of perception. The idea that humans could evolve to perceive higher dimensions is theoretically possible, but will require significant change in our sensory and cognitive systems. Neuroplasticity. Andrew Huberman, I hope you're proud. Evolutionary changes occur over very long time scales and are driven by environmental pressure. If future conditions somehow favored the ability to perceive or interact with higher dimensions, it could theoretically become a part of our evolutionary path. However, this remains speculative and far beyond current scientific predictions. 4, role of light and stars. The stars and cosmic phenomenon have inspired human thought and culture throughout history. My bad. While the light from stars provides insight into the universe and has driven astronomical advances, it is unlikely to directly influence our biological evolution to perceive higher dimensions. However, the study of light and the cosmos has profoundly expanded our understanding of the universe. Universe, one song. Right? So human evolution and longevity. Future evolution. Number 5, human evolution is an ongoing process, and our species could continue to evolve in response to environmental changes, technological advancements, and other factors. The future of human evolution could involve genetic, cognitive, and even technological enhancements. Neuralink. 6, sustainability and longevity. The sustainability of human civilization depends on our ability to manage resources and address environmental challenges. If humanity can develop sustainable technologies and practices, we could potentially thrive for many millennia. Overpopulation, resource depletion, and ecological damage are significant threats, but advancements in science and technology often offer potential solutions. And finally, the role of light and perception. 7, metaphysical and symbolic interpretations. Light, let there be light, has been symbolic or has deep symbolic meanings in many cultures and religions, often associated with knowledge, divinity, and enlightenment. Enlightenment, fill the head with light, through what? The eyes, and also probably the pineal gland. These interpretations reflect human attempts to understand and symbolize the profound experiences and insights that light and the cosmos inspire. When people go to dark sky reserves, around the globe, they often report feelings of the sense of like awe. Like, I didn't even know, like, what? It's in astronomical terms, it's referred to as the orbital perspective when astronauts, go around the planet in satellites, right? Particularly like the International Space Station, they report feeling the sense of, oh wow, the Earth is one. It's this really small place in this super massive cosmos out here. And ultimately, we are one species that is living on this one planet that may or may not be intelligent. In summary, while it is fascinating to consider the possibilities of higher dimensional perception and the role of light in human evolution, these ideas remain largely speculative and metaphysical. Well, you can't say metaphysical without physic, right? The scientific understanding of human evolution and perception is grounded in current biological and neurological research, but the future may hold unexpected developments as our knowledge and technology continue to advance. I need to work on my pronunciation a little bit. I'm a little bit Southern sometimes, but that's just the gambit of living in the Midwest. So this was 4D infinity symbol curve part 1. There will be a part 2. It's also in the cosmology and meta/physics section. I hope you enjoyed this video. Of course, go support the links in the bio. I hope this opened your senses to, higher dimensions today. I think about dimensions a lot, and at some point we will figure out a scientific way to empirically validate whether a force constitutes another dimension or not. So stay tuned. Thank you all, and stay hydrated today.